last experience, but you also
Uh,
mentioned that you had three other experiences, and I'm just curious about those and how they compared.
oh yeah. So actually, when we just had a break, I wrote down 1998, 2014, 15, and 19. And the ones that have completely um, go back to that context of how it's shaken an experienced person, not a soldier. That was just the application, but an experienced person. Um, as far as me experiencing trauma in very high stress or stressful situations, excuse me. Um, 1998 is actually the one that is, from a tactical level, what I just wrote down. I just 1998 elk hunt near ambush, and I would have never just labeled that near ambush if I didn't have my background, because what I'm going to try and explain is I believe 100% is what happened to me as a younger buck. And you know, Will, when we first talked, and as I was just shakily and rambling this to you, you know, I had mentioned I was elk hunting and I went in the brush and I saw this and this was going on. It's like every little thing that didn't make sense to me, and like I said, it started in '98 on this elk hunt, came to light, right? And while working through the fear of it, and I had the context of understanding that whatever I saw on my fishing excursion is what was being executed. That's the word. Whatever I saw was being executed on me in '98. And this is when I was a civilian. This is when I had no base to apply any type of. I would have had no chance as far as practical survival. You know, everybody says, "Yeah, I grew up in the woods," and not me, but you know that general statement. I hunt my whole life, and now you know, looking back, especially with the service, I didn't know a damn thing. You know, you guys want me to go through the events? Was that
Yeah.
your question, Brian?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Through the events.
Yeah, because like I said, to me, this is what I just told you about the 2019 and actual visual contact, and in '98. The only two between there is, yeah, I found some tracks, and I had one of these things rip my target apart. We found 20-inch tracks in the snow. You know, that's to me that I don't care. I don't care about the tracks. Really piecing together this '98. So, 1998. I was a timber cutter at the time, and I did that like part-time, and I was doing that to put myself through paramedic school. I wanted to be a paramedic. So my occupation gave me a really good opportunity, you know, spending out those early hours in the high timber in the Cascades. You know, I figured where the elk are at, so that was pretty cool. In the evenings, I go to paramedic school. So found where the elk were at. I get there late. I actually had a final class. Oh, I think it was at 9. Anyways, I finally get in the bush around 1 o'clock or 1 p.m. in the afternoon. I'm driving up to this area. I cut some elk tracks going across. They're coming off the bank, going into a flat plateau area, I'll say. Not too steep, but the terrain is brushy reprod with your classic ponderosa pine, Doug fir, kind of a mixture of stuff, right? Visibility level is, once you get off-road into this particular stand of this plateau, probably 50 feet at most. When you get around the bigger trees, your area's a little bit bigger. But I would say your average visibility is going to be 50 feet. So I get out, cut these elk tracks, and I had a really, really, really successful elk hunting teacher, my uncle. You don't follow elk tracks. You need to make a decision. Do you go right or do you go left? So I actually did that. Didn't follow the tracks. I walked down the road a little bit, kind of looked on my map, and like, okay, I'm going to approach this way because elk circle you and do all that stuff. So that's what I did. Put my pack on, not worried about noise because I'm going to go down to my avenue of approach and then bust in the timber. So I do that. I walk about, I don't know, 100, maybe 120, 130 meters from where I parked the truck, and then I decide to put my insertion point in. I walked, it must have been, geez, man, maybe 100 feet off the road, like really close. I heard a noise. Okay, and this is to my rear, where I kind of where I parked my truck, not where I went in the timber, where I parked my truck. And what I heard was like, it sounded like a damn owl, and it went whoop, oh woo, oh woo. 3 different woos, owls, but 3 different types of tones, and that's it. Like, all right. I start sneaking. I don't see any elk tracks, and I got my head to the ground, head up. I'm being a real inexperienced hunter at the time. To my front, I hear like cracking. I look up, and there's a tree shaking. It's just whipping back and forth. The size of the tree is not much, maybe 10 inches diameter. I'm like really excited. Like, oh my God, there's a bull rubbing his horns. I got these guys. I got them. I saw the elk tracks that I saw. It was like 15, 16 head of elk. I am right in the middle of them. That's what I'm thinking. So I start to approach. I take my pack off. I'm trying to get light because they're right there. I start crawling on my knees a little bit. This tree is still whipping back and forth, but I don't smell. That's a big thing. You always, when you're in the middle of elk, even after you bust them out, you can always smell them. They just smell. They smell rank. It's not a big deal. They smell like a wet dog. They're musky. That would be my musky. It's not a big deal. This tree's still whipping, but I don't hear the horns. I don't hear the classic bull rubbing his horns. And he's not. And this time of year, he's not. Shining them. He's thrashing a tree because he's doing his testosterone deal, right? I don't see any elk, so I advance a little bit. I just keep going. But when I get to the tree, there's not a goddamn elk there. Immediately to my right, I hear movement, okay? I just hear the brush popping. My visibility, even under when I got to this tree, that, 10, 12, 14 inches around, there's no way an elk is going to move that. When they do bust trees, they're small, man. They might be, 50 feet tall, but the diameter is not very big. This is a fir tree that was whipping back and forth. To my left now, I hear the same type of thing. I just hear brush popping, but I cannot see anything. So I get down on my knees, and I'm looking for elk legs. What the hell's going on? I don't see a damn thing. To my rear, so tree's on my 12 o'clock, truck is my insertion point. I just walked in a straight line, like I said, but, I'm not too far in, 100 feet. Now I'm probably 200 feet in. The truck is roughly, the tree is at my 12 o'clock. The truck is on my probably 8 o'clock. Well, I hear the same type of owl sound. It only does it one time, okay? To my right, I hear movement. To my left, I hear movement. And I'm very confused. I saw a tree shaking. I'm right at that tree. I didn't hear any elk bust out. Don't smell the elk. Here's another part where I say I was inexperienced hunter at the time. There's no elk tracks in there. So I have my head down. So I get up, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? They must have moved on me. They're around me, so I'm not successful. I can't see anything. Can't smell them. As I'm turning around, I walk from that 12 o'clock tree I'm at that was just whipping around. I about face. Here comes a stick from my left to the right. And I guess it's not a stick, to be accurate. A lot of deadfall in the forest, tree, just a chunk of wood, but it's dead. It comes flying across from my left to right, about eye defilade I don't know, 10 feet in front of me. I hear another whoop to the back, what I would call like an owl. This one's a lot deeper. It's not. I don't know how to explain it. That's the best I can do. So now I figure out what's going on. I got people in here screwing around with me. Okay. Obviously, someone's in there yelling. They're not talking. They're trying to screw this elk hunter up. I still hear noises going on my right and left. At the distance, a little bit closer here, or excuse me, a little bit closer, but it's not right there. I still can't see anything. Can't smell the elk, or excuse me. I say, hey. Start getting really, really angry. I said, you know, what the F are you guys doing? I'm hunting. Stop effing around. I have a rifle. Next thing that gets thrown your way is not going to be a stick. I had a .338 Win Mag. The right-hand side of me starts to, I don't know how to explain it. Is it a grunt or is it snort? I don't know how to explain it. It's a sound I've never heard before. The best I can do is I thought somebody was grunting, snorting, like, you got a big loogie. I was trying to avoid saying that like a 6-year-old. Got a loogie. That's what I thought I heard. So now I'm 100% convinced these are people screwing around. They're still making my right and my left are still making noise. I don't hear the owl behind me anymore. But I hear this loogie, grunt, snort, whatever it is. Now I'm really, really pissed. I figure these guys around me, they don't want to communicate, but they're doing their best to close in on me as people. So I turn around, I shoot 2 rounds in that tree, and I shoot another 2 rounds right at that stick on the ground. And I said, hey, I'm not effing around anymore. And I'm very, very upset. F this, F that, I'm not messing around anymore. I said, you guys can F and have them. And I was referring to the elk. You guys can have them then, fine. So I just walked out of there, got in my truck, and took off. And then I drove around the other side and, was very, very uneventful, didn't see any elk, didn't smell any elk. So here's where I'm wrapping this up. I believe I got caught and this is veteran Dalton talking now. I believe what I saw when I was fishing caught me in a near ambush, or that's what they were trying to do. Because there's a couple details here that don't make sense. I know what happened now, but as I was working through this, and this is when we talked, Will, and these things were kind of going through my head, and I was like, this tree was shaking, and oh my God, and you told me it's about numbers, and I said, do they ambush? You remember that conversation? Well, I was just spilling this out in our first conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I put things together, man. I believe, as knowing what I know about the military now, that they were drawing me in for a near ambush. And I can rule people out on when I skeptically, because that's how you got to look at all this shit. You got to rule all the other stuff out, even though I knew after I saw what I saw, this thing, as I was working this backwards planning into my head about the 1998 first encounter I believe I had, I believe they were drawing me in on a near ambush. Nothing that I couldn't shake that tree, okay? An elk can't shake that tree. A bear, I had no, rule a bear out. No elk horns, no bear claw marks. Okay, let's rule the tree out. Let's rule the crunching around. This snort, looky, grunt. I don't even know how to make that sound, but I heard it on my right. And this is what I know from war. Okay, when you shoot at people, the normal human physiological response is for them to actually squat down. Okay, they squat and they yell. they make noise because it's a very, very uncomfortable feeling when you get shot at. But I've done that enough in particular situations to move, we'll say, individuals from here to here. But they always make noise. And I've done it at close range, roughly a little farther away in actual combat. But the distance these things were around me, the normal human response is for anybody to say, hey, no, I'm just joking around, I'm just kidding. But nobody made a sound. And when you had told me the numbers thing, Will, and, talk out loud, we kind of went through, it may have been our third conversation we had privately, talking about making noise and talking out loud, and I believe my gunshots helped. And like I said, I told my wife this last night. It kind of hit me. I said, no wonder I ended up in the type of ops unit I was in, because I'm such an asshole, aggressiveness with my personality, like type AAA. That's what I believe saved me when I was a kid and didn't know anything. I got pissed off. I yelled, and I yelled a lot. And I also fired a couple rounds, right, to the tree, into that stick. And I believe that's why I walked out of that situation. So
yeah, Dalton.
Down and yep.
Oh no, I was just going to say, or just kind of an observation, and I was just about to ask Will this. The fact that, obviously, like you said, firing your gun, I'm sure, helped, but even prior to that, just the fact that you were talking out loud, that may have confused them, because they didn't know if you were alone or if that, somebody was on the way, perhaps, and that maybe saved you. Just like Will, because this is with Gerald.
Yeah, very similar.
Who's this?
Yeah.
Do you know anybody this happened to, Will? If you do, I would love to. I don't know how we get in contact, but there's some other details that are I need to sort out. There's a few other things that I really want to make sure that's accurate, but. And this is more on a tactical level, Will, of what was going on, just besides I heard brush and I heard this and some sounds. I don't know, Brian. Like I said, it just kind of my ability to get angry in that situation. Yeah, maybe talking about. I was yelling. I was really, really upset. I'm a 20-year-old kid who thinks he's going to kill his first bull elk, and and they ruined it, right? And all the way until, and that's what I thought, all the way until probably 5 or 10 minutes before I first made contact with Will, and we talked on the phone, and I just tried to, everything was just pouring out of me, right? I thought this and that, but that's where, to me, that's as a warrior, as a person, protector, just a normal human being, I feel like I was hunted, right? Now I can accept getting hunted by people, right? You guys used to pay me to do that. I can accept
you're
getting mauled by a cougar. Yeah, I accept I can get mauled by a mountain lion or a bear, but we understand those things, right? But what I've been trying to sort out here is I do not accept. It's been beyond violating. Number one, strategically looking at another ambush predator, and that's what the hell I think they are, another ambush predator that was way better than me.
Yes, that's
right?
correct.
Okay? And it's beyond humbling, all right? It's not like when you see a big bear in the woods and it's like, wow, that's a really awesome creature. It's dangerous. There's some real normal, primal, instinctual feelings, but if it doesn't maul you and it's doing its thing, you look at that thing and you're like, man, that's pretty cool. I respect that thing. Nothing like this, man. This is violation. And like I said, I may have these intense feelings because I do know what it's like to be hunted by people. But this really trying to, and I'm still working through this. These things, I'm not sure I would have walked out of that, man. And I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Looking back, what would my family think? That's a whole nother conversation about what actually is being told and what goes on with particular events. but yeah, that to me, that experience, I believe the trigger, the initiation of actually seeing whatever I saw, really in the backwards events is the thing that really bothers me the most. And I mean, it's really shaking me up, man, because I don't like to lose, number one. Okay, I just, like I said, and trying to present my background of how I've lived my life and who I am. I mean, another predator got the drop on me, man, and I don't like it under those circumstances. I don't like that.
I'm going to jump in for a second. I just want to make a comment, though, if we can find silver lining in your experience, and I think there is one pretty significant. Everything you talked about is the describing of, the stumbling on this thing, okay, and the way you were able to get there. I really believe that you're inadvertently helping other people who are going to have similar situations and how to deal with it. So if there's there is some good that's coming out of this, is that you're kind of writing a book or writing a chapter, certainly a paragraph or two on surviving this situation.
Sure.
What do you think
absolutely,
about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm sure you have your situational awareness is greatly heightened now that if you go back out in the woods.
Oh yeah. Tom, I'm first of all, we had planned to kill another bull this year. Actually, the photo I sent you, Will, I want to get the raghorn to the herd bull. So, unfortunately, it's in the same area where this went down. Real quick, yeah, I do, and this has changed with me, Tom, probably the last couple of weeks. I've been, like I said, I've been really trying to work through this, that it went from, I think, all the normal responses due to this contact. I'm never going out there, man. And that's pretty big, I don't really hunt for sport. My wife and I do not buy meat. We got the Chinook, and we always kill a couple bucks. We kill a couple bear every year. We kill an elk. So that's kind of our lifestyle. And when I said I'm never going out there again, it was big, right? Issue is now, and I better be careful how I say this, but I view this situation because I know. I need to be very humble.